What's going on, creators? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate you all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today got a bunch of stuff to kind of bring to your awareness. Hopefully, add something positive to your mental diet. Has to do a lot with embracing your new identity and replacing a lot of the slave mindset that was kind of program into our consciousness through the world, through our parents, through culture, all these things, that you can start to see falling apart more and more so as you kind of get to the bottom of some, like, why do I believe the things I believe? Why do I just blindly obey this, like, authority? Why do I, it's a lot of self-reflection, a lot of going within your own consciousness, going within yourself to see why you are thinking the way you're thinking. And a lot of the time, just the thoughts in general, every single one of them correlates to the past. It has very little to do with the present moment. And that's a big red flag of the slave mindset, is to constantly be drifting into past, maybe woulda, coulda, shouldas, or future, oh, wouldn't that be nice, or, this magical you made it moment, and constantly distracting from what's going on in the here and the now. Part of, embracing the here and now is embracing who you actually are created to be. You are more than just this brain and a body. That's part of, like, this old mindset, that comes from these materialist ideas, and most of which, just under scrutiny as an adult, it falls apart. I was, like, talking somewhat about that yesterday when it comes to, like, the Big Bang, and everything that you see in physical reality was, like, at one point, because it's expanding, so they can do the math backwards, and it's like everything's expanding, so then you can see the contraction, and it eventually gets to a spot smaller than the top of this. you know a lot of these ideas are laughable. It's easy for us to, like, look at, like, the past, like maybe medical, even, like, some of these, like, scientific ideas of the past, and at the time, realizing, today how stupid it sounds, and it's like, wow, really, people believe that. It's like, even psychology, it's like, or just health and medicine, let's drink some mercury and that'll fix it. Nothing is, it's no different though. I see that sometimes with people when they see, like, old school, like, propaganda, and they're like, oh my, how do people fall for it? It's like, with the right set of eyes, it still looks that stupid. It's like, after, like, 2 years of COVID, which now is being replaced where I live with more of, like, oh, you hear about war, and let's get involved, and oh, they're doing war crimes over here. It's like, war is a crime. It's like, there's no good guys that are doing that. It's just like, it's just two gangsters just going head to head. Do you want to pick this gang over here and this gang over here and just fucking just shoot each other? For what? Because a banker has an interest over there? That's part of the slave mentality. Constantly needing this external authority to guide my fucking what I'm doing. Oh, I should be reacting today. Oh, I should be angry today because of somebody 5,000 miles away that has no idea. It's like this whole idea of, like, oh, I'm going to be this goat on top of the world. Oh, and that kind of mindset, is such an illusion, because it's like, what do you mean by the world? It's like, you want people in, like, the Amazon rainforest to be like, oh, look at this superior person. It's like, or you just want to just travel around to these different cities, and people just say, oh, that's that guy, that's who it is, and let me take a picture, and let me do this, and let me do that. And it's like, what are you doing that for? Because I'm not saying there's anything even wrong with that, but it's like, if you're on the outside looking to that as, like, oh, that's what success looks like, that's what you made it looks like, and then you're constantly looking to this outside validation, like, oh, I can't feel a certain way, I can't feel successful unless some external group of people praises. It's like, a lot of times, if you just embody what you're trying, what does that mean? It's like, because we're trying to achieve inner states of consciousness through outer means. In the slave mind, it's backwards though. That's part of the problem with the slave mind, is it doesn't know how to create happiness, joy, peace, any of these types of things. And listening to that guide just leads you down this path of just fear, for one, and then that fear starts making all your decisions based on reactivity versus based on creating, versed on creating out of love, creating out of abundance, creating out of joy and peace and gratitude, and all these heavenly attributes. It's something that you have to decide to do, though. It's like you can continue to listen to the slave mind that will just, oh, let's double down on it. It's like it didn't work the first 500 times, but if we just did a little bit more, if we just had 100% compliance, then it would have worked. You see a lot of that shit with like COVID. You still see these people that have rejected what reality is, and then that reality is like, well, probably half the people are just going to disagree with you. Probably maybe 25% fervently will disagree with you. 25% of people will agree with you, and then you have this middle ground where you have people on the fence. A lot of them will just go with whatever's appears popular, which is how a lot of trickery happens, when it comes to media and propaganda, because people don't realize that you can pay people money and they'll say whatever you pay them to say. I don't know why people don't get that, but it's like, oh, well, he's on TV and he's wearing a suit, so he has to be telling me the truth. It's like, why do you think that? Why are you such easy prey? To just, oh, he's on TV, so, and he's wearing a suit, so he's got to be smart, they don't let stupid people on there. It's like, he's just reading a fucking script, it's like, why, well, I've been trying this product for about the past couple of years, and it works fantastic, I love it. It's like, well, he's on TV, can't possibly be wrong. But like, people keep falling for that trap, and it's I think a bigger red flag is most of the people that fall for that trap are solidly in the slave mindset, constantly needing the beautiful people to tell them what to do, or the quote unquote experts, the quote unquote whatever, the people that they have. Basically, I feel like it's the sin of Adam, where it's like you take your God-given authority and you give it away. Like, in the Bible, Adam gave that to Satan, this external whatever, where Jesus, takes it from the outer and brings it within. The kingdom of God is within you, so it's like going from this slave mind of always kind of obeying this outer authority. And I'm not saying to go break the law and live in chaos and disorder and dysfunction, because look around in nature, there's a balance that's like, there's a harmony that's going on, and so much of revelations and kind of mindsets that we can start to apply can be just observed in creation. I'm not saying that creation should be ignored like it's just all fantasy illusion, because everything in the physical has a spiritual root, which you can start to go within and ask God what it means. Why does this exist in creation? What is it for? What kind of purpose is it serving? How is this loving? How is it loving to see an animal like rip the guts out of another animal and just eat it while it's still alive, and screaming and hollering and everything else? You see some of these things going on in actual creation, and it's like, part of like the mindset is like, I just want to reject that. Like, that's fucked up. And it's like, why do we think that's fucked up? What about that? Are we projecting our own dramas into it? It's like, well, I don't want to be fucking eaten by a bear. And it's like, okay, well, that makes a little bit more sense. That kind of like mindset, has something we can kind of start to unpack, but like, and I don't know all the answers either. I'm just speaking like rhetorically, I guess. When I look out into creation, and I got like flock of birds now. I got 10 chickens, that are producing eggs. We had 2 ducks. We sold them because they were like getting rapey, rapey and aggressive and attacking the chickens, which it all came out of like this weird disunity when we got this stray chicken that just kind of found its way to our house. And once that got introduced to the flock, it just really threw a wrench in everything. And plus, like before that, the turkey was kind of like the focus of attention towards the flock. They would pick on it, and yeah, it was this whole drama with that. But we ate the turkey for Thanksgiving, and so that kind of changed the harmony of the flock. Then the ducks started getting out of alignment, and there's like a pecking order that you can observe when it comes to these chickens, and we have multiple breeds going on at the same time because we have different colored eggs. It's like white eggs, brown eggs, green eggs, all these. It's just like you look at a dozen of our eggs, it's just like Easter eggs. They're all different colors and whatnot. And every species, I don't know, every breed has like these different temperaments and different behavioral traits, which is interesting on some level, but like, yeah, because like the red ones are like, they just want to keep getting out of the coop. It's fucking annoying, and it's like, but the other ones don't, I end up clipping their wings so they weren't flying over there, and they're still doing it. So it's like, catch them again and dial back a little bit more of their feathers until they just stop doing that. And it's like you start looking at these different breeds and these different behaviors and everything else, and then at the same time you see them just like pecking the fuck out of another one. It's like, oh, that one came by, and then the other one just pecked it right between the eyes really hard. And it's like, how is this kind of, what can I learn about creation from watching these birds, But then on top of it, then I got 2 more egg-laying birds that are about to be introduced to the flock. Then I got a dozen meat birds, which we're gonna like kill and eat. And I don't know, they only takes about 8 weeks till they get big enough, And then 3 more turkeys, which we're gonna kill and eat them too, So it's like, looking at that, and it's like, does that feel loving to do that? Or there's all these kind of questions and things to unpack, and just like behavioral, I don't know how to say behavior, but just like these thought patterns when it comes to that. And it's like, how is what I'm doing loving if I'm going to raise them to kill them and eat them? I don't know. These are all cool things to ask yourself, really, as you like peer out into creation. But to sit there and constantly be judging creation and thinking like, oh, there needs to be a better way, and maybe there is, but like a lot of times, when that first like comes of like, oh, things can evolve more harmoniously, that's an opportunity then to start to steward what you have better and better, but yeah, it's kind of complicated but simple, because it kind of depends on what mindset you're hearing this from. With a mindset of like separation and belief in separation versus the understanding that we're all one, we're all connected in Christ. It's like, how does you got to ask yourself, from the slave mind, where it feels like, oh, I'm being very predatory, I'm doing this, is it cruel, But even the idea about getting these animals was to give them more love, and not have them be super farmed and everything else. And so they do get a lot of love and attention and stuff like that. It's like, but at the same time, you start to get a little bit more grounded into the reality, because it's so easy as somebody who's like lived in town. And not like a huge city or anything. It'd be probably even more of a disconnect in a bigger city, where it's just like you don't even see a cow. You don't ever see a pig or a farm animal or anything. You just see a dead carcass in the grocery store, and there's like that gigantic disconnect of where it came from the store to it was a living being at some point with a personality and like behavioral traits and stuff like that. I got really attached to the turkey that we had to begin with, because I've never even seen a living turkey till I had one, and then I didn't realize they like changed colors. They had like a kind of a weird like peacock personality, where they just kind of strut around and kind of just want hump and fuck the other birds and just show off all day, and it's just like kind of this weird, but I kind of liked it, because it was kind of chill at the same time, and wasn't like super aggressive and bitey and everything else. But like to look at like the way the chickens behave, it's not much different than a lot of unconscious people's behavior then too, where it's just like when you're just reacting out of fear, you're just believing a bunch of spells and trickery and magic and programming and propaganda, and not questioning why you believe these things. You're just going with the flow. You're just a slave to whatever thing comes up next to react to, and it's like you get on Twitter and it's just almost unbearable to even, because it's like, now that the COVID shit is like showing itself to be a complete fucking disaster, and they're wrong the entire 2 years, they won't want to admit it and everything else. But then you go to this next thing. Well, then this side's going to butt heads with this side over this. Did you hear about the new court case over here? And it's like, oh, well, it's like, it got ripped off. It was a scam, and they're just let's argue. It's like, both of you guys are being fucking stupid. It's like none of that shit matters at all. All of that shit is just, you don't gotta just keep reacting to it. It's like either you're reacting to it and arguing for it, or you're reacting to it and arguing against it. Either way, you're reacting to nonsense. Which, that's kind of just another red flag of the slave mind, constantly reacting and not creating your life. Personally, as somebody who's like actively creating life, for myself, for my family, for people around me, my community, it's like that stuff is so far removed when you're actually just engaged in your community, trying to add value to it, trying to create systems that improve people's lives that are a benefit to others. The shit going on 3 states away, like you have some like, oh, let me just get involved. It's like you're not even getting involved in your own community where you actually have the ability to do something. But people would rather just react to boxes and react to screens and react to some government agency that's like, well, this is important, this is a big deal because we say it's a big deal. it's like yeah, the stuff I say is a big deal, for government policies. It's like nobody listens to me. Maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe just speaking it into existence, give peace a chance. Just like makes it so. And to give peace a chance, you become peace. You be peace. And then you see that reflecting out into reality. Because everything that we're really experiencing a lot of in our lives is a reflection of our relationship with God. Another way to say that is a reflection of consciousness, because ultimately it's all God's consciousness being externalized. And, we're part of that. It's like we're part of God's creation. And to kind of separate yourself from it, like, oh, wait, no, I'm not. Again, starting to get into the slave mindset of, oh, you're separate, you did something wrong, you're guilty, and you need to be cut off and thrown away. When all you have to do is just ask God to help you. It's all about a relationship. And that relationship, I don't think it ever ends. It's just an eternal relationship because God's always present in the here and now. So it's only the slave mind that's looking toward a quote-unquote future or quote-unquote past to try to connect with God, who is always here in the here and now. It's like, oh, if you died, I can guarantee you it's still now. Your awareness is going to still be on the present moment. So, but it's about like repairing that kind of, rejecting the present, rejecting love, rejecting creation, rejecting it, because what you're rejecting is ultimately your identity, because that's always what's being reflected, an aspect of your relationship with God. Because it's like, how do you have oneness yet relationship? And that's a mystery that we're unpacking, that we're learning more and more, like awareness about that. A lot of times, through your actual marriage, you can start seeing these things. So if, like, for example, maybe you got like disharmony with your wife about, like, maybe she's been nagging or complaining a lot. start to, instead of like blaming her and like pointing your finger at her, start asking God, go within yourself and just reflect on your relationship with God in your inner conversations, because God hears your thoughts in your inner conversations. And the thing of it is, are you nagging God about whatever? Are you complaining that things aren't good enough? Are you guilty of doing the things that your wife has been doing, but you just take it from this relationship to here, like your wife, you, and dial it back to your relationship with God? Are you doing the same thing? Are you being ungrateful? Are you being unthankful? Are you more? And then most of the time you are. So it's like you be the change then, and it's like, okay, well, my wife's been nagging and complaining a lot. Oh, okay, I'm nagging and complaining a lot to God, so I'm going to stop that kind of behavior, that mental activity, and I'm going to focus more on creating, I'm just gonna listen more. It's like whatever like you're seeing that's bothering you, like do the opposite with your relationship to God. If you're like, it's like, oh, my wife just talks and talks and talks, and I never get to talk. Are you just rambling to God all the time and never listening? It's like, so like you can use these things symbolically to then self-reflect. Or am I doing that then? Am I guilty of doing something like that? More, yeah, probably, but not to feel like, oh, you should feel like shit for that then, you should be shame, guilt, and it's just like, okay, it's one thing to acknowledge, that there's a better way, and it's like you were doing that out of ignorance. You didn't know any better, and you were just chasing a shadow and then getting hurt and suffering and getting pissed and getting frustrated and then doubling down on it and chasing this shadow, getting worse and worse. It's like, oh, okay, well, you just didn't know any better. So just start letting that go, start letting that slave mind go, and just then replacing that with, okay, well, I'm just going to trust God instead. I'm going to trust that only love is real. I'm going to trust the natural, ways of creation. And if there's a problem, I'll be led to the solution, because there is no problem. The problem and the solution comes at the same time. It's only ever now. So it's like there's not this, I'll figure it out next month. It's like if it's hitting your awareness right now, the problem and the solution comes at the same time. So ask God yourself. Go within yourself, ask, believe, and receive, and you'll get an answer. You get the help that you'll need, and that will resolve itself. It's only in the slave mind that it starts to, oh, I'm alone. I got to figure this out, and I need some external master, some person to be an intermediary between me and God. It's going, taking that person. Not to say people aren't reflecting things back, because everybody's reflecting different aspects of different things, but it's about more so not putting people on pedestals, but putting, taking that pedestal, and we're like even, it's like a mirror. And so it's like, put it to practice yourself. You can only hear somebody tell you these things so many times before you got to be the one that picks the guitar up and actually starts strumming around. Somebody can say, hey, you play the G chord, you go up and down, you follow this, but until you start doing it, it's like, good luck, figuring it out, because everybody learns it differently. There's like commonalities, but everybody's got their own creative flow. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna bounce. So I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing, all the social networking things. I appreciate your spiritual support and your financial support. Thank you for that. And until the next now, God bless.